Hello and thanks for choosing THV 11 on this Thursday. I'm Jurnee Taylor and here are some of the headlines we're following. Now at noon, new updates today on the case of the West Memphis 3 versus the state of Arkansas. Plus some fast facts on the myth of humans only using 10% of their brain. Find out how much of our brains we actually use just ahead. And musicians Teddy Riley, Gloria Estefan, and Snoop Dogg are just a few of the people of who will be receiving a big honor. We have the details in entertainment news at 12:22. Now, I'm excited to hear more on that last story for sure. Meteorologist Nathan Scott, let's talk about this Thursday though, an intense Wednesday, and now we have a beautiful yet chilly Thursday. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jurnee. Yeah, beautiful blue sky all across central Arkansas, but it is much cooler out there compared to 24 hours ago. Look at this temperature difference. It's about 15 to 20 degrees cooler across most of the natural state. Temperatures right now into the upper 40s to lower 50s. It's 51 in the capital city, 48 in Clinton, but only 37 in Harrison, where they're seeing more clouds. Also, those winds, it is blustery. We got those winds kicking in from the west-northwest, about 15 to as high as 25 miles per hour. And we do have a wind advisory in effect for the counties under the Brown. So that pretty much is just off to the north of Little Rock. Wind gusts could be as high as 35 to 40 miles per hour. Those winds add a bite to the air. Here's what it feels like out there: 39 in Conway. It only feels like 28 in Harrison, and it feels like 39 in Mena. Highs today, low to mid 50s area wide, probably stuck in the 40s in North Arkansas with plenty of sun. Going to the weekend, we do have a slight change in the forecast with a small chance of rain. I'll have more on that potential coming up.
Today, we've got an update on the latest appeal from the West Memphis 3. Arkansas Chief Justice Dan Kemp is recusing himself from the case. Damian Eccles' legal team continues fighting for more DNA testing of newly uncovered evidence from the 1993 murders of 3 boys in West Memphis. The Chief Justice of Arkansas Supreme Court didn't give a reason for stepping away from the case. Now, the Crawford County Sheriff's Department and one of its former deputies are now facing another federal civil rights case. You may remember the viral video of the deputy, Zach King, violently arresting someone last summer. Well, this is the 3rd federal lawsuit since video of that arrest was released. Deputy King was fired for his involvement in that incident, and he's named in this newest lawsuit as well, which is actually based on a separate incident. A woman filed it this month saying King used excessive force, causing her injuries. This suit also lists Crawford County and the Sheriff's Office as defendants.
I believe it's another example of this particular officer using force and not de-escalating in an unnecessary situation where no danger was posed to him or the other officers at all, yet force was still the first thing that was resorted to, and it just shouldn't have been in this scenario.
Now, documents say deputies went to the woman's house in May of 2021 after reports of someone having a gun. According to the lawsuit, though, Polly Risenhoover asked ex-deputy Zach King why they were there. She says King then tackled her to the ground and put her in handcuffs after she had already been patted down. Risenhoover was never arrested. The Crawford County Sheriff's Office has yet to comment on this latest lawsuit. Now, turning now to developments at the state capitol. Arkansas lawmakers are introducing a new bill to ban hazing at the Arkansas Law Enforcement Training Academy. It comes after 38-year-old officer from Jonesboro, Vincent Parks, died at the academy's Little Rock location on July 17th. The high temperature that day was 101 degrees. The medical examiner blamed his death on the heat, plus exertion and pre-existing conditions. Then Pulaski County Prosecuting Attorney Larry Jegley said the death investigation revealed hazing among other issues at the academy. That brings us to this new bill, which defines hazing at the academy as a crime. It could even be a felony in some cases. And Jefferson County authorities need help identifying suspects in a home break-in where the intruders restrained 2 women with duct tape. If you know any information, you're asked to give Jefferson County Sheriff a call. The victims woke up to 2 white men in masks kicking through the door of the front of the home. The investigators on the case say the suspects broke in looking for a safe and drove off in a newer model 4-door white sedan. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen announced in a letter to Congress that the U.S. has officially reached the legal limit which within it can borrow to pay the bills Congress has already authorized. But some lawmakers don't want to raise the debt ceiling until changes are made. Nicole D'Antonio has more on the showdown on Capitol Hill.
Hardware store owner Bill Hart says he's worried about the impact the debt ceiling could have on his business and its 50 employees.
It is a big responsibility when you're responsible for this many people's livelihoods and families.
The Treasury Department says today is the day the nation has reached its debt ceiling limit, the legal limit with which it can borrow to pay the country's bills. The department has begun taking extraordinary measures to prevent from defaulting on debt, including shifting money between accounts, as well as temporarily holding off on payments to some federal employee retirement plans and health funds for retired postal workers. That gives Congress until June 5th to raise the debt ceiling.
Why wouldn't we sit down now, set a budget, set a path to get us to a balanced budget?
House Republicans are demanding changes to the country's spending before they'll raise the debt ceiling, but the White House says that's non-negotiable.
This Congress has a basic set of obligations, and none more fundamental than maintaining the full faith and credit of the United States. And nobody should be putting on the table and even suggesting that that is up for debate or up for negotiation.
Hitting the debt ceiling could cause the government to furlough non-essential government employees, delay tax refunds, Social Security checks, and close museums and national parks.
When you don't have Social Security checks coming in, not only is it putting individuals at risk, it is putting the economy at risk. Right. Those Social Security checks are spent in this economy.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says hitting the debt limit could push the U.S. into a recession. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The last time the U.S. came close to defaulting on its debt was in 2011. The stock markets dropped, borrowing costs increased, and people lost their jobs. Well, a manufacturing company in Pine Bluff is getting creative to recruit future employees. Central Maloney is partnering with Watson Chapel High School in an effort to train students to become welders and for free. Now, Chris Hart, the CEO of Central Maloney, says welders are the company's biggest need right now, and they've partnered with the school this school year to build a pipeline for future workers.
We will be glad to put our money out up front and invest in the students that are one day going to become the labor force here.
Other schools in Southeast Arkansas are now expressing interest. Hart says money is being sent to Dumas, Stuttgart, and Cleveland County to create similar programs in those school districts. Well, the pandemic had millions of people evaluating their lives and rethinking their jobs. Jill Schlesinger has some tips for people considering a new path right now.
Have you dreamed of shifting gears in your life? Maybe it's a new career or small business, going back to school, or finding a new place to live. If you seek to change your work, change your wealth, or change your life, there are specific steps to take. To reset to a new place, you must understand where you are today. Only then can you break through and take meaningful action and determine whether a reset is within your grasp financially. Take a good hard look at what you own, what you owe, your total income, and how much you're spending. I know the spending part is tough, but the pandemic reordered and reprioritized the most important items on which we throw our hard-earned money. It helped us understand what our real needs are versus those things that we think we need. Taking a good hard look is the key to learning whether your dreams of making a reset are realistic or if you need to adjust or tone them down enough to get most of what you want. The process will allow you to take smarter, more thoughtful, and perhaps more nuanced risks. In New York, I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Well, if you've been making charitable donations with your Amazon purchases, you will force to be stopped next month. That's because the company is axing their Amazon Smiles program. The program that ran for over a decade allowed shoppers to donate a small percentage from purchases to charities. The online retailer says the program didn't create the impact it had hoped. Now, prices at the pump may be giving you whiplash as they rise and drop left and right. Well, they're fluctuating as crude oil prices continue to rise, and it doesn't look like we'll catch a break anytime soon. According to AAA, the only break we'll catch is when those fluctuating prices are on the downturn. If we take a look at prices now compared to just at the beginning of this month, we're currently sitting at $3.05 statewide. On January 1st, we were at $2.84. That's over a 20-cent increase. So what's affecting crude oil? The Russian invasion of Ukraine is making oil supplies across much of Europe. Depending on where you are, Nick Shabariev says get used to the up and down prices this year.
Things that are going on around the globe, they are going to impact crude oil prices right here at home, simply because we both import and export crude oil from other places. The focus for drivers this year is, expect another roller coaster year of gas prices.
Now, another factor is China and their fight with COVID-19 resurgence. China is one of the largest oil consumers globally. So when lockdowns are lifted, that creates an influx of demand and they can cause crude oil prices to rise. Well, have you ever heard that saying, we only use 10% of our brain? We look at whether or not that's true. In 6 minutes, we verify. But first, let's check in with Nathan on weather.
And I'm using my brain to look at the weather models over the next several days, Jurnee. We've got quiet weather out there today. The weekend does feature a small chance of rain. And then next week, things get interesting. The chance of winter weather is starting to go up for Central Arkansas. I'll explain why that is the case coming up.